Okay, good morning, everyone. This morning, I want to talk to you about what to do when you find that your karma has run over your dogma. Personally, I hate it when it happens to me. My dogma becomes very unhappy. It whines, it moans, it howls. And sometimes it makes so much noise I have to let it go. So what I'd like to do this morning is to unpack this particular weird-sounding statement, talk about dogma, talk about karma, and talk about what happens when the two of those collide, which is happening in our world in each moment, and in our lives in each moment for most of us. Typically, when we use the word dharma, or use the word dogma, we may think of religion, or some religious creed that's declared to be a dogma. You have to believe this. But actually, dogma has nothing to do with religion per se. If we look up the definition of dogma, it is as follows. Dogma is a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as unquestionably true. Dogma is a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as unquestionably true. We all have more dogma than we probably realize. This dogma is not necessarily given to us in words by one single individual, but it's given to us by our culture in a myriad of ways. These are the deep assumptions that underlie a particular culture, and in many ways actually define that culture. They tend to be invisible. They're almost like the fault lines in the crust of the earth. We're not aware of them until they bump into one another. And then we become very aware of how big they are, how deep they are. So I want to give just a couple quick examples. I could talk a lot more if we had time available, but I don't want to dwell too long on it. So dogma, for example, one dogma that has been part of humanity almost since the days of our first emergence into language and thought. And that is that dogma that if something bad happens to us, it means that God or the gods are punishing us in some way. And way back when, in the bad old days, people would be sacrificed, or animals would be sacrificed to the gods as a way of appeasing the gods, hoping that the gods would forgive them for whatever trespasses they have done. And so this idea of when something bad happens, I must have done something wrong, or it shouldn't have happened. Or bad things should not happen to good people. In the Jewish Bible, the whole book of Job is based on that theme of why Job, a righteous man, is made to suffer. One of the best-selling books in recent decades is a book by, I think it's Rabbi Kushner, that's titled Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's an age-old question. I've been good, so why am I being punished, you see? And of course, we know intellectually that's not necessarily so, but that dogma is very deep in our culture. And sometimes it goes the other way. Why don't bad things happen to bad people? And, that doesn't always seem to come true either. Another one very quickly is that in our culture, one dogma we have is that all truth is based on evidence and logic. If you're in a court of law, you say something, then you have to back it up with evidence or logic. If you're a scientist, if you're an educator, logic, evidence, the scientific method, empirical method, we assume that's the road to truth. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's the dogma that we live with in our culture today. In our relationships, when two people come together and live together and perhaps get married, we find each one brings their dogma into the karma of the relationship. And those dogmas often collide. We have our family dogmas. So our dogmas get into a dogma fight. I beg your pardon. And so dogma is that which we know, but we don't know that we know it. Very deep. So let's talk now about karma. Karma is a word that's really loaded. And I'd like you to just forget everything you know about karma or believe about karma for a moment anyway. And just listen to this. That is that karma, the word karma simply means action. Karma, literally, the word is action. And it refers to the idea of action and reaction. For every action, there is a reaction. That's Newton's third law of motion, I believe, that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every thing that we do is like sowing a seed. That's another metaphor that's often used. So it's the law of cause and effect, the law of sowing and reaping. Karma is impartial. It's not a punishment. It's very much like the law of gravity. If someone falls off the top of a tall building, they're going to become aware of the law of gravity. And gravity is not punishing them. It's simply impartially doing what gravity does. Same way with karma. Karma is not a punishment. Another way to look at karma is, if we want to know what karma is, just look at the world around us. Look at our own life. Everything in the world around us and everything in our own life is the result of some past action, some past thought, word, or action that was taken. This building wouldn't be here if it wasn't for some action taken in the past. I wouldn't be sitting here, you wouldn't be sitting where you're sitting if it wasn't for some action that you've taken in the past. The past is always present immediately in the future, or in the present moment. Everything we see was created out of what we call the past. So karma is simply the conditions of our life right now. Everything that has come to us now is the result, the fruition of seeds that we've sowed in the past. And everything that we say, think, and do in the present moment are seeds that are being sowed for the future. And so that cycle goes. Karma is not bound by time as we know it. So in other words, what happens today, the seeds that I sow today, I have no idea when they will be reaped. And if you believe in reincarnation, it may be many lifetimes away. But it doesn't really matter. Everything that we do will come back to us. You know, what goes around comes around. The wheel of karma. It's not punishment. It's inevitable. And it is universal law. So it's not influenced by our dogmas. It doesn't care. It doesn't care what our dogmas think. It simply operates. Whether or not you believe in the law of gravity, it's going to work. So please take my word for it. Don't try this at home. Every thought, word, and deed is a seed planted, and it blossoms and ripens over time. There's a cycle. And when it's time for that seed to ripen, to blossom and ripen, it does, and it will manifest into the life of the one who sowed it. So we don't know what timing it will be, but we know it will be. So 2 crucial points. Number 1, karma creates circumstances. It is not predestination, because we always have a choice as to what we do about, how we respond to, and the meaning we give to our circumstances. So karma, the past, provides us with the setting that we are in this very moment. But what we do with this moment, how we live it, and how we create the future from it, is totally up to us. So when we talk about karma, we're not talking about predestination. Karma does not cause suffering. Karma creates conditions. And one of the possible responses to the conditions is to resist it, and suffering is inevitable when that happens. And one last point regarding karma is that karma, as it said, the wheel of karma spins on the axis of intention. So intention really is the key. We may not be very skillful at something, but if we intend to act out of compassion, even if it doesn't work the way we intended it to, that act will bear a certain karma. Likewise, if we intend harm to someone, even if we don't do it, act it out, it still has a certain karma attached to it. So the wheel of karma is based upon the intention behind our actions. So that's why in the Dharma practice we pay a lot of attention to intention. The last time I was in Arkansas, I saw a bumper sticker that I think illustrates this point so beautifully. regarding intention. The bumper sticker said, I still miss my ex. Then in small print underneath it says, but my aim is improving. So even if we don't hit the bullseye, the intention is to do harm. And so the wheel of karma goes with intention. So it's very, very important to be intentional in what we do. So it's a long and complex topic, and I'm not going to say any more about it, other than the fact that it happens. It's happening now. Will happen again. And it won't go away. But whether or not that karma runs over our dogma is up to us. We can get our dogmas out of the way. And so the Dharma practice itself is designed to get off the wheel of karma. That's really the Buddhist teaching. And the intention behind the teaching is that this wheel of samsara, this endless wheel of karma, sowing and reaping, is not inevitable. It's possible to transcend this wheel and to live in a very, very different way, so that we're not bound by the past. So how do we do that? Well, we talk about it every Sunday morning. The practice of being fully present with clarity, the practice of being non-resistant, accepting, allowing whatever is here. That's really the key to overcoming karma and to releasing our dogmas so that they can get out of the way of our karma and rest in peace, hopefully. So it's also very helpful when things happen, events happen that are difficult or even fortuitous events, to see them not so much as something happening to you as an individual, but to simply see it as something that's unfolding, and that your life is something that is unfolding within you and through you. So it's not some outside event happening to you, an individual, but it's something that is being manifest in and through you as an individual. So let yourself simply become the awareness, the space that holds it all. Impermanence. The wheel of karma is always moving and always changing. So whatever is here, if we allow it to be here, be present to it, it will move through. It all came to pass. It always comes to pass. That's the nature of the conditional reality that we live in. And finally, if we find something is chronic in regard to, we keep bumping up against the same karma, running over our same dogma over and over again, it can be helpful to explore what that dogma is. What is it that I'm holding on to that I won't let go of? Sometimes this belief of, I've been a good person, why is this happening to me? That can be very deep, and that can be what's keeping us from letting go and releasing that suffering. So I want to close by thanking you for practicing the Dharma, and to take a moment just to dedicate this Dharma Talk and our practice this morning to the welfare of all beings everywhere. So let's just take a moment, if you would, to join me in that intention. May our practice be for the benefit of all beings everywhere.